Good evening, beloved community, and thank you for taking a little time to pray and reflect with me. For tonight's Prayercast, I bring you a tweet, a passage from a book, and a link to a live stream. The tweet is from author and educator Dwayne Reed, who says, "White supremacy won't die until white people see it as a white issue they need to solve, rather than a black issue they need to empathize with." White supremacy is a white issue. It's something that we who are white have caused. I want to reflect on that. I have been reflecting on that, and I invite you in bringing that idea to God in prayer with me. God, help me to see where I am accountable for white supremacy. And God, move me to take responsibility, not to wallow in guilt, but to do something. Not to rush off to all my black friends and pester them to tell me what to do, to make them do the work for me, but to educate myself and my people. Spirit of wisdom, lead me towards the resources that have already been gathered by persons of various races for the work of anti-racism. Thank you for their work, their time, their energy. Amen. When a white person like myself or a community like Grace that has a majority of white people, when we start asking these questions, there are so many educators already out there who have been doing the work, who have generously offered their knowledge. One such person is Ta-Nehisi Coates, and in fact, I invite you to join me next week in discussing his memoir, Between the World and Me. This book is so powerful as a tool for discussing anti-racism. And one passage from this book, Between the World and Me, that I want to share with you now expands on the idea of racism being a white issue. Throughout his memoir, Coates describes white Americans as the dreamers. This dream, he says, is soft and pleasant. It assures us that the United States is a land of freedom and equality and justice. And we hide ourselves away in this dream, while out in the real world, people of color are suffering violence because of our unwillingness to face the facts. Here's the passage I bring, and it comes in a part of the book where Ta-Nehisi Coates is talking about a woman he visits named Dr. Jones, whose son has been killed by police. When it came to her son, Dr. Jones's country did what it does best. It forgot him. The forgetting is habit, is yet another necessary component of the dream. They have forgotten the scale of theft that enriched them in slavery, the terror that allowed them for a century to pilfer the vote, the segregationist policy that gave them their suburbs. They have forgotten, because to remember would tumble them out of the beautiful dream and force them to live down here with us, down here in the world. I am convinced that the dreamers, at least the dreamers of today, would rather live white than free. In the dream, they are King Aragorn. They are an entire race of Skywalkers. To awaken them is to reveal that they are an empire of humans, and, like all empires of humans, are built on the destruction of the body. He's not wrong, is he? It's a lot easier to live in our dream where we're the heroes, the Luke Skywalkers, saving the galaxy and bringing justice and freedom, than to admit that we are actually part of an empire. After saying all of this, Ta-Nehisi Coates eventually brings his musings back to his son, whom he addresses throughout the memoir. He starts explaining to his son that the unwillingness of white Americans to waken up from their happy dream is why his son, who is black, is going to struggle all his life. And Coates also tells his son that it's not his son's job to snap us white people out of the dream, that it's our job to do that. This is what Coates says to his son. The terrible truth is that we cannot will ourselves to an escape on our own. Perhaps that is the hope of the movement, to awaken the dreamers, to rouse them to the facts of what their need to be white, to talk like they are white, to think that they are white, which is to think that they are beyond the design flaws of humanity, has done to the world. But you, my son, cannot arrange your life around them and the small chance of the dreamers coming into consciousness. Our moment is too brief. Our bodies are too precious. And you are here, now, and you must live. And so while it is not people of color's job to snap us out of the dream, so many of them are creating tools and resources and raising their voices and inviting us to listen and hear them out. So I bring one more thing to you. An incredible live stream discussion shared on Facebook this past week by the Dream Defenders. And this live stream gave platform to some incredible Black and Indigenous women and non-binary persons who joined in worship and then discussed the idea of defunding the police. Now, this is an idea that I know that a lot of people are confused or worried about. If there's no police, whom do I call if someone breaks into my home? If there's no prisons, where do the people who actually commit violent crimes go? Watching this live stream, which included Dr. Angela Davis herself, I started to understand what defunding and perhaps even abolishing the police really means, and why I, as a white person, need to hear out the Black and brown voices who are telling me that simple police reform is not enough. Now, it's a pretty long live stream. It's like 2 hours long, and I know that not everyone has the time for all of that. So if you can only make a little time, I would recommend starting about 31 minutes in and watching to at least 50 minutes in to hear what Dr. Angela Davis has to say about defunding the police. This is a woman who has been incarcerated, who has been researching and writing about this issue for literal decades now. She knows what she's talking about, and we could all really, really benefit from her wisdom. Indeed, for those of us who are white, it's our responsibility to seek out voices like hers, who are so willingly giving their time and their energy to educating one another, their fellow people of color, and also to educating us white people. So please make the time to watch some of that live stream. And for one last time, I invite you to bring all of this with me to God in prayer. Justice bringer, liberator, spirit of life, thank you for setting our world on fire with a hunger for justice. Thank you for waking us up out of this dream. Do not let us fall back asleep. Help us dream a new dream, loving God. A dream that is reality, where Black and brown lives are treated with the dignity they deserve, where no man's boot chokes another man's breath from his body, where women, men, non-binary persons of color no longer have to live in suffocating fear. Amen.